Hi guys, this is Vineet, and in this video we will discuss about how you can view or change the properties of a database in SQL Server. Our belief is that time is very important for everyone, and we believe that everyone should gather essential skills and quality education in a least amount of time. So that's why we make our videos, keeping in view our belief. Let's go to the next slide. I would request you guys to please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. So the reason why should you subscribe to my channel are as follows. So if you want to learn a quality SQL stuff in short amount of time, I would suggest you to subscribe to my channel. And if you want to learn SQL through demos, you can definitely subscribe to my channel. And if your view is to focus on the to the point practical stuff with SQL Server, then yeah, definitely subscribe to my channel. And if you don't have time to read the books, and then you can also subscribe to my channel because my video saves time. And if you are preparing for an interview in a short period of time, my channel will be useful for you. And if you want to get regular updates regarding our upcoming videos, please do subscribe to my channel. Please go through the disclaimer. You can pause the video and go through this disclaimer, which basically states that you should perform all your practicals with the test databases in the test environment. Please do not touch the production databases in the production environment. Do not touch them. Only use the test databases in test environment. You may go through this disclaimer by pausing the video. I'm moving to the next slide. So, which is there are some points to be remembered while watching this video. You can watch video. Please watch this video till the end to gain better clarity of the concept. If possible, please watch this video twice and perform the exercises in your lab environment. We would like to know your thoughts regarding our videos, so please share your comments. Now let's come back to a topic, which is how you can view or change the properties of a database in SQL Server. Let's go back to my notes. So there are certain demos that we will cover, and basically there's a point to keep in mind. So after you change a database property, the modification takes effect immediately. So we will show you how you can view some of the properties through SQL Server Management Studio. So in order to view the properties of a database, you need to open up the SQL Server and connect to the database in order to view the properties of a database. So I'm waiting for SQL Server to open quickly. So SQL Server is now open. Let me connect to it. Okay, now the SQL Server is connected. In order to view a property of a database, for example, there's a sample DB. If you want to view the properties of this database, right click on this database and go to properties, which basically opens the database properties dialog box. And you can change any of the properties under various section from this. So if you want to change some general properties, you can change it here. And there are many other properties as well under options. You can change them as well from here. So we will show you how you can do the same using the database properties X function using T-SQL. So let me open up a new query as well. So first we are going through one of the practicals, which is how you can view a property of a database by using the database property X function. So this is the function you need to remember if you want to view the property of database. Let's try to use this function quickly. So along with me, write a note. So let's do a select. So what we want to select, we want to select a database property. So what we will do, we will use this function. We will make use of this function. So the function name is database property X, and within the brackets you need to specify the name of the DB. So we are using sample DB here, and you can mention one of the properties which you want to view the value for. So let's use the let's try to view the value of property is auto shrink. We want to check whether auto shrink of a database in this property, whether it's enabled or disabled. We can check that. So let's execute this statement. So we see that is auto shrink property is not enabled. It is currently disabled because 0 has come. Now let's go to next demo, which basically demonstrate how you can view the properties of a database by using or by querying the assist databases system catalog view. So some of the properties can be used by can be viewed by using the sys databases catalog view. So let's try to use that view. We will again use the same database. So let's write some SQL code. So we are doing select. I'm just doing star, otherwise you can select specific column as well. So here we are using the sys.databases system catalog view, and we are specifying the name of the database here. So we are specifying where name equals sample db. So what this command will do, it will list out all the properties of this particular database. So we have selected sample db. It has a database ID of 6, and along with that there are many other properties like when it was created, what's the compatibility level, what is the collation used with the database, what type of access is configured, whether it's multi-user or single user, what's the state of the database, whether it's online or not. And there are other properties as well which you can read. Let's see if is auto shrink a property available or not. So let's type is auto. Let's see. So there is a property is auto shrink on. You can check on that if you want to see if auto shrink is enabled or not. So is auto shrink is disabled. This it is equivalent to the same command we used here, where we have just selected a single property, and this command is showing up basically all the properties of a database. So any of the column can be used to filter out the data, which particular columns you want to check. You can mention those columns in here. Now let's move to our next demo, which basically demonstrate how you can view the properties of a database scoped configuration by using the sys databases scoped configuration system catalog view. So along with sys databases catalog view, there is another catalog view, sys databases scoped configuration. Now let's try to use that demo. So let's go back to SQL Server. Let's try to use this scoped configuration. So we are selecting all the values from here, from this sys dot database scoped configuration view. So let's select that without mentioning any database name. So this command is basically showing some of the properties, but not sure for which database. Let's see if we have a configuration ID in here for, let's see if there's a column for configuration ID in here. No, we don't see any configuration ID in here. Okay, so far we don't know how this system catalog view is useful for us, but yeah, it do contain some of the scoped configuration for databases. So each of the configuration has a configuration ID, and whether that configuration is enabled or not for a particular database. So I think it comes as per the database selected over the top. So it is showing us the scoped configuration of a simple DB database over here. So the value of 1 indicates which all settings are on. So parameter sniffing is on, identity cache is on, and there are some many items which we will discuss about. We will discuss about them later in our upcoming videos. What are the use of this value? So another value is that executes query starts for scalar function. There's some of the configuration. We'll talk about them later. But for now, the value of 0 and 1 indicates whether this particular property or scoped configuration is enabled or not, and what is the default. So if we see ledger digest storage endpoint is disabled or turned off. So this is how you can view the scope configuration for a particular database. Now let's go back to our next practical. How you can change the properties of a database using the alter database statements. Another option which can be used is to use the alter database statement through which you can modify the property of a database. So let's do some of the practicals. Let's open up a new query window against the sample DB. Along with me, please write some of the queries. So I'm selecting name and I'm selecting the property snapshot isolation state. We'll talk about this option later. What's the snapshot isolation state? But for now, we are just selecting it as a column. So another column can be snapshot isolation state description. Basically, we want to see whether a snapshot isolation is enabled for this particular database. So this property can be selected from sys.databases. Check whether it is enabled or not, where we can specify the filter name is the name of the database is SampleDB here. So let's run this. So we want to see whether the snapshot isolation property of this database is enabled or not. So snapshot isolation state is currently 0 with a description of, and let's try to turn on this property, the snapshot isolation state. So in order to do that, we don't directly perform an update against the sys databases catalog view, but instead we use the altered database statement. So we are making modifications to the database. So you can use the altered database statement along with the database name, and you set a particular property using the set statement. So here we are using the property. We want to allow the snapshot isolation. So we will use allow snapshot isolation property, and we can turn it to on. Now let's execute these statements. Now if we select the first, if we run the first query, it will show that the snapshot isolation is now turned on for SampleDB database. So this is how you can turn on certain properties using the alter database statement. So here we have turned on the allow snapshot isolation database property. Now let's go back to the next practical, which is how you can change the database scoped properties using. So earlier we have shown you how you can view the scoped configuration using the sys databases scoped configuration system catalog view. Now we will show you how you can change the scope properties using the alter database scoped configuration. How the scoped configuration can be changed. So let me show you. Earlier we have seen one of the properties. So let's take a look at the scoped configuration for this sample DB. So there's a setting for max stop. You can read more about that property on Google. So what's the purpose of this property? So for now we are just treating as it is a scoped configuration, one of the scoped configuration, and it is currently turned off, right? So what if we want to turn this property on? So in order to do that, you may run the following command. Uh, Also database. So along with using the alter database statement, let's write it in this query window. Alter database, along with that we use scoped configuration to indicate basically we are altering a scoped configuration, and along with that we need to specify the for keyword. So we want to set the max stop property now to turn on for a primary database. We are setting the max stop property to primary. So let's use the secondary database. So what if we are doing here is we are changing the scope configuration for secondary database. We are setting max stop to primary. You can read about that max stop property on Google for now. Later on, we will cover this property in one of our videos. So now let's take a look at scope configuration. Max stop is the configuration one. So this is how some configuration can be changed. The scope configuration can be changed in the alter database scope configuration command. Right now it is not showing much difference in here, but it has changed something. So basically we are setting a max stop for a secondary database to the value of the primary database. We will talk about secondary databases and primary databases later on. For now, this much is sufficient, and we are towards the end of our video. We have discussed some of the demos, how you can change the properties for our database, and I hope you liked this video. So please subscribe to my channel, and please share this video with your friends if you find that video is useful for them as well. Do comment on our videos. We would like to know your thoughts. Click on the like button, and also click on the bell icon when you subscribe to my channel, and select all notifications to get notifications regarding all my future videos. For now we are done. I thank you so much once again for your time on this video, and you have a wonderful day ahead.